Tenzin Dorjee Kyodam Deluded Chendo Chowata Timban Dorjee Pyusun Sojo Ne Chagi Dejan Deluded Kyo Saji Bede Joje Medo Chan Rero Meje Nide Jembande Sanje Jendo Mede Gwa Yen Dokwe Nanda Kino Shebara Jo Yedama Guru Rana Neyata Me Sangje Jelo Chuje Jona Sanjo Bardo Dane Jazo Je Dage Juju Jebe Sonam Dola Mise Sanje Rubar So Sangje Jeda Zoje Sonam Sanjo Bardo Dane Jazo Dage Juju Jebe Sonam Je Dola Mise Sanje Rubar So Sangje Jeda Zoje Sonam Sanjo Bardo Dane Jazo Dage Juju Jebe Sonam Je Dola Mise Sanje Rubar Voilà, je m'imagine que tu as gagné 5 ans de temps. Tu as la name Bayanda Bazobi Sanji Kumbaran Bajikin, the Tobra Shagu. The Tobra Shavi Chedo, Tambi Shuran Bajase, Yambe, Kuno Shanju, Simchi, say Simbi on the assembly.
First of all, I would like to remind all of ourselves to cultivate the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. It's with that kind of bodhicitta motivation that we should all participate in this teaching.
Inayata Rantol Zakari Ungurisena Manu de Shiginante Dunge Mount Type Social Independent Taxagon, Mende Rick and now Machimato, the Rick Dewatan Kibuti that Kabut was.
As I always remind ourselves that all of us are same in that we seek happiness and the best of everything, and we do not wish for any kind of pain and problem. Having said that, but in our real life experiences, as we can all testify, so to speak, to this, that more unwanted pains and problems befall our life, and it is rather difficult for us to find the kind of peace, happiness, and the goodness that we are seeking. So that, as a matter of fact, seems like a fact of our life. As we encounter difficulties and painful experiences in our life, we cannot point our finger, so to speak, at others and blame them for all the things going wrong in our life. But rather we should reflect upon the fact that whatever experiences we are going through, these are nothing but the results of our own karmic actions. In other words, that negative karmic actions that we have created and accumulated, as they ripen upon ourselves, then we face or we run into all kinds of painful experiences. So in a sense that we need to own the karmic responsibility that we have, so that we understand the underlying causes of our problems, and we do not blame other people and other things for things going wrong with our life.
Tayan till Toba Sugar was, Toman the Sugar was. And then me yank around never shane. And then you never shane any never one any round Lil Nasatan send doing you do a tatic, Karina some Tosa doors.
Now you might have this kind of doubt. Well, others seem to bring suffering to us. For example, that when others physically harm us, isn't it the case that others are responsible for whatever physical pain we go through, and then also whatever the mental agony that goes with the physical pain? Aren't they really responsible for whatever the physical pain and mental agony that we go through? No.
So that didn't do sometimes. When that ying me ying the Shabbat. Around me, double you at the Jude of the New Year's. Savage Jukita, Telpa, washing do see Chaguaris.
Now, in order to understand this situation I just kind of created, we need to keep in our mind there are what we call primary causes and secondary conditions. And so there are causes and conditions which come into play.
So that round that the limit they be reached round the selfie, Shewa Haman Stalpy, Savage, late Savage, the others. That till a robot singing it, that Kinji it, conditioning it, that and the meeting around the Shabbat, that robot is here to me. Later to me a growth of sugar matter, ye, so later ranking him and Sunny, the and Namitaran Junguris.
So the experiences that we go through our life, both good and bad, the underlying causes of all our experiences are our own karmic actions, good and bad karmic actions that we ourselves have created and accumulated. So our karmic actions are the primary causes of our own life experiences. But then these karmic actions, they interact with conditioning factors. So this is where other people might come into play, that whatever they said or they did to us, so that simply acted as what we call, to use a technical term, cooperative conditioning factor, simultaneously arisen cooperative conditioning factor. That's one mouthful for a translator to say. Anyway, so others could only be conditions to activate our karma, but it's our karma which brings, whatever results it brings, good and bad.
So that rank give me a lesa sa jete, that is thinking tango.
Of course, we do create karmic actions in relation to sentient beings. So in that sense, sentient beings may become what we call the referent objects. It's in relation to them we create karmic actions. Metaphorically speaking, that sentient beings are just like the field in which we, so to speak, sow the seeds of karma. So now looking at this metaphor, right, if you have a piece of land, to grow something, now you can grow anything you want in that. If you want rice, you put rice into that field, what you get back is rice. And if you want peas, or you want any other kind of grains, you put the seeds of those grains into the field is not going to reject, pretty much, oh no, I'm not going to, accept that. So field facilitates, the growth of any kind of seeds you put in.
So that just thinking a ten ranking when thinking a robot, only Shaving a pember dribbling again, pember dribbling, the in Jabu Tarana, that Devatan, and the Atinic Junguris. Debu the Jibu Junguris.
So if we look at sentient beings just like a field, a good plot of land, in other words, and so out of love and compassion, when we do something to benefit them, to help them, now this is like planting good seeds into the field of sentient beings, metaphorically speaking. So what do we get in return? We get the good crops. We get the peace, happiness, and the goodness.
Oh, yeah. That never seen rank and Lucilla never that never reach having a tea any gave it around a tape doing it in Jungus.
On the other hand, if we harm sentient beings physically, mentally, or in whatever other ways you could think of, then it's like we're planting bad seeds into the field. So what we get in return are the negative consequences or the results.
So that rank Sinji Yen Pember Dreatan Sinji Yen never Messiah, never Kayat, never see the Kayat, Kitchen which we chag.
So it is, in terms of that, I often explain to you, and of course to myself, that in our everyday life, we try to see that, if we can, we try to help others and benefit others. But even if we cannot help others, at least we see that we do not do anything that hurts others and that is harmful to others. You know why? Because these different karmic actions which we create and accumulate bring different kind of results.
So that the curry is that rang yen never see it. Curry going sugar sena and the rank keeping zine, yen around the change yours.
Now, if we try to investigate, this matter a little more deeply, so to speak, how come that we, harm others, or we say something, do something, or think about something that is negative and harmful to others? So it's basically, if we look deep inside us, our self-cherishing attitude, Rang Chenzen in Tibetan, that self-centeredness, is what, makes us, motivates us to do negative things.
So that Rang Chenzen del Pardone, ye Kebran the begins the Rangil Shia Tupshagurs. This Shavina, ye Kebrazons, yen never shake matters.
So if a self-cherishing attitude, in other words, that when we cherish ourselves like anything, even at the cost of others, then we find ourselves indulging in those karmic actions, harmful, destructive, and mostly harming others in order to protect the so-called self, because self is so important. Now, if we change that attitude, instead of cherishing ourselves, if we cultivate the thought of cherishing others, you see, this cherishing attitude for others, then of course we find ourselves just doing the opposite things. Now we don't harm others, but rather we would like to do whatever we can to benefit others.
So that ye keeping zene rang de yesun that simply yesun dani yen pember drovina de in jebel that rang de chibu the youngers.
So how can we get the kind of peace and happiness we are seeking? Now, if we train our mind and bring about that inner transformation, is instead of cherishing ourselves like anything, now if we learn to cherish other sentient beings, and we genuinely cultivate that attitude inside us, and follow that mentality, if you like, altruistic mentality, then what we find ourselves doing is doing everything that is good, positive, and beneficial to and for others. And as a result, now we find peace and happiness and goodness that we are really seeking.
Never found pember driven tati run gube and they would the chibu yungu are the run David doing maris.
So in a nutshell, what I've been trying to explain, thus far is, if we do not harm others, but rather try to benefit and help others, so that is what brings us happiness.
That is Majib Shagurs. The 10 day in a church you become Majuche, Mandus Church, Susan Yeshibikal, Tangi Oris, Yinaya, and the Shalom Martins and the Beta, Hamanangima Karsiti, Machabi in the Karsiti, Donaldson Majibina, I think that is uncovered.
And it's very important for us to cultivate that kind of awareness that we should not do anything harmful to others, but rather do something that is positive and beneficial to others. But we need to remind ourselves, off and on about this thing. Because, as we talk about these things here in the morning, right, I'm just trying to explain these things to you, then everybody becomes very mindful and aware of this. Okay, so we are very conscientious of what we're talking about. But as soon as the teaching is over and we leave this, building, then we are out on the real, so to speak, world out the street, then we even don't smell this attitude. It's just completely forgotten, and then we just behave the way we have been behaving, zillions of years, lifetimes, So that's not right.
What is it? So, then I took some of the was a comes in that you think, just the Yungo girls, the Yunga Sheval rang Nang Singutoni Zoguris.
So I think we can all agree that everybody wants happiness. But happiness is something that we have to find within ourselves. So in order to have the happiness inside us, so we need to bring about that inner transformation within ourselves. So in other words, if we are seeking happiness, then we got to look within ourselves and need to work with our mind and bring about the changes which are necessary that would bring happiness to us.
I must come, no. That thing you are Sheval. Rang Sengutoni, when the Chatang, Najetang, Tai Kidang Tado, don't you pay my Magina, and a Shilog ni Luki, Luki, what the young matters. Same Kigur, well.
And also we are, as you heard Geshe use the word, we would like to have, peaceful mind, calm mind. We like calmness. Well, where do we get it? Again, we need to, train our mind and go through inner transformation. And now when we look within ourselves, what really makes us kind of a wild, if you will, and busy and hectic and all kind of stuff, is because we have so many what we call deluded states of mind within us, delusions, or kleshya in Sanskrit. Such as attachment, anger, hatred, arrogance, jealousy. You just name it. So when these negative states of mind, are in us, and especially when they manifest within us, so then what happens is our mind is very gone crazy and busy. So when the mind is crazy and busy, well, then that makes our body crazy and busy. So that puts, the crazy mind puts the body into doing crazy stuff, crazy things. And that's how we do not experience the peace of mind or the calmness of mind. Nang same Mahiva, my Hua, Shepa, Benan, the Chachimbuki in the Hel my Churtang, that Contra Tawaji in a quarter my Churtang. The Hana in the Tado, Chimutin, Zuba Churtani, but never Zoyat Ali, there's covered in a my Churtang, remember ambition, Tenzupe, Social and Jin, never Zoyat, Tatoji. So what I'm trying to get across to you is this, that each of us need to look within our own mind. And of course we have so many delusions. But then, we need to find out which delusion, hopefully it is a delusion, not delusions, is predominant in our mind. Is it the attachment? Or is it the anger or the hatred? Is it the jealousy? Or is it the arrogance? Or whatever it is. So because that predominant delusion is, driving us nuts and crazy in many ways. And so we need to counteract that particular delusion. Of course, to get rid of that delusion is perhaps in some way a long way to go. Okay, but at least we should make efforts to, decrease its intensity. To counteract it in the sense that we can bring that delusion down, kind of what you call, not upgrade it, downgrade it, some sense, And then slowly, as we work with our mind, of course, in stages and in a gradual process, then we hope that, soon we are able to get rid of that delusion or those delusions. So that is the path, that's the process we have to go through to bring about inner transformation and to find the kind of peace and happiness we are seeking.
No.
So this is just like a prelude to continue explaining from where we left off in this wonderful text called a miscellaneous collection of Kadampa Geshe's advice. And things I just kind of highlighted pretty much actually. Is, I think, relevant for all of us, whether we have been in Buddhist practice for a long time and consider ourselves as old students, not necessarily old in terms of age, but old in terms of how long you have been doing, embraced Buddhism, or we are very new and fresh and, to this spirituality. But these are really something important that we all need to reflect upon in our everyday life.
Me take nature chamalo ma hit tungi ta me tinichi that ne mingi to was tang hema tini yeb menus
No.
nanzo rinchi was that tang sang anjule ki yed yor bata
No. So where we left off last time is that if there were to be medicine that is kind of a panacea that cures each and every sickness that is there. Of course, then we're talking about this. Is there such a medicine? At least now. So we don't know. But of course, as I said, that maybe Tibetan doctors might say that we have those precious pills, what called Rinchen Rilbo, and they do all this stuff. Anyway, no.
So that ne tamji yong me ta me ji yeb ta yor ta ji yog se ta yor ye bi mon ta ta tin ti ka ti na ye ke ani nyomo bi ne sanda kan dang ye ma pe de shi ga ta ji tin la ta bi ne tu chamal ta me ba zai me ji yeb wa ta ta ga na ye ke ani nyomo bi ne tham jin jong khen ke ta me ji yor es ta ting ni yor es ta sun go ya ma ta yor de.
So in order to explain the real, so to speak, the spiritual concept, so we try to use different metaphors and examples. So the example that we're using here is, because we go through all the physical, sicknesses, so if there were to be a panacea, that could take care of all kind of sicknesses, how wonderful that would be, right? Who wouldn't want it in the first place? The issue is, does such thing exist or not? Well, that's a different matter, okay? But when we think in terms of, from a spiritual point of view, we are suffering from sicknesses of negative states of mind or deluded states of mind. But there is, here panacea, like antidote, that can uproot or take care of all the delusions. Yes.
Don't you to be here that ne tanging jonking, new maybe ne tanging jonking that me both to do that with Instagram.
So as I was explaining to you that according to the Kadampa Geshes here, particularly Great Adisha, the wisdom gone beyond, the wisdom realizing emptiness as it is, shunyata or sunnata, the ultimate nature of phenomena as it is, that wisdom, it is the panacea to cure us of all the sicknesses of delusions.
동이 그 로테 다 동이 더 헤르스 다디네 당긴 종기 차고 동이 코라 네 종기 차고 아마레.
And I just want to clarify that, it is the subjective wisdom that, experiences emptiness as it is, which is the antidote, not the objective emptiness. Okay, so we should not confuse the subjective mind that experiences emptiness and the objective emptiness that is being experienced by it. Those are two different things. Okay, so emptiness, we are not saying that emptiness is the antidote to everything. No, we are saying that the wisdom that realizes or cognizes emptiness, experiences as it is, so that is the antidote to all our delusions.
So that nobody doing matona quality
so long as we do not realize what emptiness is, then we don't, get out of samsara. We are just trapped within samsara or cyclic existence.
That is Junsi Karis thing doing. That Junsi Karis that continue. Junsi Karis quality all and then you know thank you pangu yours. You know thank you pangala and Tony don't be carried and get shape with us. The machine and you must you pan to your so that gauge much don't you to be carried.
So why do we stress so much the essentiality and the importance of realizing emptiness, to be free from samsara or cyclic existence? It's because, when we have delusions within our mind, that's how we are trapped in samsara. So long as we have delusions or deluded states of mind, we are in samsara. But once we are free of all the delusions, then we are out of samsara. But how do we get, how to free ourselves from delusions? That's what we're talking about. That's where we need to realize emptiness as it is.
So the quality tola nyama batangi pangu te pangbala antoni to bihira togo tongi sani ane dajak tamba heje toba ke ane ta ruba jakak te megone ane tomani to bi tawleta dusin tab tamaki dusin ma ten na yores girum ye kanando.
Because of that, our historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, out of his really infinite compassion and wisdom, using many different ways and reasonings, that he tried to guide us or lead us into understanding what emptiness is.
So that today songs anil dajak tamashi tabagta chue country ji song yone we should do some chingwane ane tomani tem mate bata chan mebata.
So in other words, what I'm trying to explain here is that everything that Shakyamuni Buddha has taught, either it explicitly teaches us what emptiness is, or it implicitly reveals what emptiness is. So all the teachings given by Buddha, in that sense, is meant for us, to be able to understand what emptiness is.
So that pena that language and nangan to the mamna yori. Tenzu ya worse ane leg gawal ta mege leg gawas and David Devan Jonta. Le megawas and David Dongin Jon soon yorte yena ya. That the huleta Toman's don't think yours.
For example, as Buddha talked about different types of karmic actions, positive and negative or neutral, and different results these different karmas bring forth. How Buddha says that if you do something negative, then you will have negative experiences. If you do something positive, then you will have positive experiences. But as we see Buddha explicitly talking about the nature of the karmic action and so forth, but implicitly he's also, revealing to us emptiness.
Pena, Diva Megivashina, Dungi Yonji Yapata. Only Diva Megiv Ritempe, Meva Zoyake. Zangma Zoji Yabat, the Tamalo, go church on your language Majupa. He's an tended that Toda Sami. The Lee in Sante, to Shomaris.
So how is that, if you ask? If Buddha is talking, explicitly about law of karma and its consequences, so how is that he's implicitly really revealing to us emptiness? The reason why we could perform good and bad actions, and how good and bad actions could bring good and bad results, is just because things are dependently existent. It is because of emptiness that things have become possible and things could come into existence. You see, and why we have so much hope to be able to counteract our delusions and be free of delusions, be enlightened, is just because why that possibility exists is because of emptiness. You see, nothing exists in and of itself. Things exist dependently. So that's why Buddha talked a lot about the dependent origination, in Sanskrit called pratit samutpat, or tendal in Tibetan, or tenjung.
So that company to Lil Habuki Maris, Kaboris, Yinaya, could Jumba Shabby Nata, Ani Toya Tatangi, you had the Karina, Nuzupe Mangu Yoros, and Sanji Kamdi, the San Jenny. San Jing, Mambo Shung, Tagana, you could drop Tony Mambo Shung to Samaloka, then they turned Tony, and then Sanji Compale Toveres, Sanji Compa Toveres.
I do not intend to sort of send a message that is really kind of easy, to realize emptiness. It is not. It's very difficult. But, difficulty doesn't mean that it's not at all possible to realize emptiness. If we make consistent efforts, we will be able to realize emptiness as it is. And we have many great examples. How many realized beings have there been, and how have they become realized and holy? Because they made efforts and they realized the true nature of phenomena. Okay? So that tells us the possibility that we also have the possibility and hope to realize emptiness, only that we need to apply ourselves into the necessary practices.
That Kasang Kinsum didn't Mashina and the Imbas. Taya Troy Digre. Tomba ni tobi corners, Lamji Church and Jaran Dosum. Tomba ni tobi in a jogging to Kaska number. Tomba ni me poverty to Tabins, Lamji Church and the corner, Dubares Kanason.
No.
That the countries young country, the town countries. Don't want you corner, not you church and Gitarm do, shipes. That they are hubert.
As Great Adisha was trying to explain to the three great disciples, particularly Dumdun Gyebe Jungne, that emptiness, in a sense, incorporates or it embodies all other phenomena. Okay, and now John asked for clarification. What do you mean? What do you mean that emptiness incorporates or embodies, all other, phenomena? All the spiritual, paths, phenomena in the sense of spiritual paths.
That the land is on the Lamje. Chetangi Pardishim but Udun Dugres. That Sanjay Combato with Tap Lam Samalo, Lam Jerik, Samalo, any Pashi Drugnan Dugres.
So, how is that emptiness embodies all the spiritual paths? Now, Aditya explains that when think of all the spiritual paths leading to enlightened state or Buddhahood, all those paths can be included within or categorized within the 6 perfections or 6 parameters. And I think most of you know what the 6 perfections are, but anyway, I'm going to make sure and list them first. The first is the perfection of generosity or giving. And then the perfection of ethics or morality.
That's somebody zepe person.
And next, the perfection of patience or tolerance or forbearance. And then the perfection of enthusiastic perseverance. The perfection of concentration or samadhi. And then the perfection of wisdom. So those are the 6 perfections or parameters. Now all these perfections are, in a sense, part and parcel of the perfection of wisdom. If individual practitioners cultivate the perfection of wisdom, which is the wisdom realizing emptiness as it is, then all the other remaining 5 perfections, somehow, somehow come to, so to speak, to the practitioners. So, in other words, that all the perfections have a very intimate relationship or association with the perfection of wisdom. And how is that? If you realize emptiness, then your practice of the perfection of generosity or giving would really be, so to speak, a super duper, perfection practice. So once we realize emptiness, then what happens is that now we are able to let go our attachment and grasping at all kinds of phenomena, internal and external phenomena, or outer and inner phenomena. You see, think of that. If you do not have any attachment and grasping at things and resources, wouldn't that be easy to give away stuff? See? So that's why it becomes easy to practice the perfection of giving, because now we have the mind to give, because we are not attached to anything. We don't want to keep stuff, to ourselves. So because we are not attached to or clinging to material stuff, especially, and all phenomena, as a matter of fact, so then, that helps us to, that augments our practice of giving. Because now we find it much easier to give things to others.
So now I
hope that you can see the connection, that as Adish is trying to explain, that if we correctly, unmistakably realizes emptiness, how that facilitates our practice of giving, that we are really not attached to and we're not clinging to phenomena.
So that that ane shana ngobo tunzula zincha mebalas ane migiwi teme magwepes shana ngobo tunzula zincha meba insane ane migiwi teme ko marase migiwi teme tatela tembe shana ngobo la tela tembe ane chagwa shego mare khondo shego mare so that migiwi yung mares kan.
Also, when we unmistakably realize emptiness, that means we are not attached to and clinging to any phenomena, including material things. So which means that now we are not creating negativities in relation to phenomena. You see, we are not getting angry at someone, or we are not, creating negativities out of attachment to get stuff, for ourselves. And we don't become jealous of others, because of letting go, that grasping.
And we are
not going to indulge in deception. We are not going to deceive others. We are not going to play tricks on others.
Why is
that? Because we do not have attachment and grasping to stuff. That makes us usually deceive and cheat others, do things which harm others in order to get what we want, and all of this. Now, all those things, stop. No.
So that Tomani tension you mileage with Tawayana, Jimmy Pashinte, Yan Tawayana Chita, the tall Annie, that in Jamaican Johnny, any syringe Pashinte, that we Tawaya with younger is gone so much.
So when we don't have an attachment grasping, two things as a result of realizing emptiness, then that also helps us to with the perfection of ethics. You see, now because attachment is what really often comes in the way in our transgression of vows and commitments. So when we don't have attachment and grasping, then our practice of observing ethics become very pure. So in other words, we will continuously experience this, the sense of the pure ethics, because our mind is not stained by the negative thoughts and the negativities. That's because we have realized emptiness and we are not attached to and grasping at things.
And so
and now, as a result of realizing emptiness, as I said, we do not have grasping. So that means we also don't get mad and angry, because we don't have the sense of I and mine so much. In the sense, not sense, actually, the grasping at I and mine. This is my. This is who I am, and this is what belongs to me, mine stuff. So when we don't have that kind of grasping at I and mine, so we don't get mad and angry with others. So when you don't get mad and angry, there's no anger. That's where the patience is. See? So that's how the realization of emptiness helps us to with the perfection of patience.
So in other
words, that as a result of realizing emptiness, that we find ourselves continually experience the peace of mind, the sense of patience.
That don't want you turn the Randila losing that, Shinky Malavia shaving, that it going to pay down. You did ye to Rangila share could tell that so much is. Solution was so that Julie Jinkim English.
And as a result of realizing emptiness, we find ourselves being very enthusiastically pursuing all other remarkable qualities and positive qualities. So we don't feel complacent about what we have. We would like to cultivate and accomplish all the realizations that there are to be accomplished. So that's where the enthusiasm, the enthusiastic perseverance or the joy comes into play.
Deluded minto show the yin what about yin. So yin what the semi the pay the case yin shin pay give show them chim drama to bash yin butter. So the Thomas tension will top in. Not the same surely yin be yin what the Yungam. So such Deluded yanity the yin by Yungres canon.
And one of the reasons or the causes of not having good enthusiastic perseverance, if you will, is because our mind is very much distracted. We get easily distracted by all kind of stuff. So once you realize emptiness, you gain certain stability of the mind, and so now we are able to focus on what we are doing, and that too enthusiastically.
That
So because of that stability of the mind, which comes with the realization of emptiness, now as you can see, that really facilitates our cultivation of the perfection of samadhi or concentration. Now, our mind is not wandering all the time. It's all somewhere, but it is with us and, so to speak, at home. And so we are able to, experience the perfection of concentration.
No. There it is. Only Sunday for the Jimmy, yes. That Kana Kosu the dog bay, eat and travel. Here is for the Jimmy. That's also to Samalo. Korsum says any that pen is Jimbari tongue is Jimby Jinu, Jimbapo, Jimbadi Betongina, Pa Jimbaposhe, any Jinju Zetsi, Lankin, any Rangi Majupach. Oh, then the Rangi Majupak in those in a that someone those in a Karsagurati. Toying Guerta?
No.
So that is any Hiraj Pashita, Jimmy Pachin.
So as we realize emptiness, especially in how do we really realize emptiness, as we just explained how the perfection of wisdom, it relates to all other perfections, such as giving. Is that the technical term we use is like in the case of the practice of giving, there are three things. We call them the three, literally three circles, but it's more like the three, variables, perhaps. Well, that's where my social science comes play in here. The three variables of giving. They are like, we as a giver, right? That's one variable. And what we give, that is the substance, another variable. And to whom we give, the recipient, the third variable. So when we see that all these three variables, which are intimately connected with one another, right, do not exist in and of themselves, independently. So that is what we are reflecting on, the emptiness of the perfection of giving. And so that helps us to realize emptiness.
No, that in the
and the same thing goes with all other perfections.
Yes. That one nothing. Then talk about Tombani Tagum Kone Sanje Pala, some shiver. Young Trabaji shiver, young Trabashi. Then the Shunke the drum them and don't do Jerry Juni inside the Sumundo. One said that they talk about Gila said, they young that we told you can none is that turn to Gilson, young that we told you can none. Tobani Jenny, Tawatan Gomba Kone, and Sanjig Reves, Sanjava Lassam, Yahuberta.
Now, as the great master Adesha explains about the essentiality and the importance of, realization of emptiness, because we are talking about what is the ultimate spirituality, that Adesha explained is the wisdom gone beyond. It's the perfection of wisdom. So emptiness is so important to be realized and all that. And then I think probably it is, again, Dromtemba who asked another question to Adesha, and he said, well, if that's the case, then is realization of emptiness alone adequate to reach Buddhahood, to be a completely enlightened person?
Then the Tombani Tony Chancha listen at Digmandos. The Tomba Garcia. 동이 힘이 보진스
No.
아니 단담 생시다
No.
뭐 동반이도 장주 생님부터 도시다 딩이 손들 대회 아니 다와다 공바티 아니 산지 토구를 해서 산지 공바 토구를 해서 다 얘기해.
I think we need to rephrase this, although it seems like the realization of emptiness, but here it is used in a very unique sense. What he really meant is, when the realization of emptiness is integrated or combined with great compassion. Okay, so that's the integrated path of emptiness and compassion. Is that an adequate path? Does that alone enable a practitioner to become a Buddha? Okay, so that's the question put before Adisha.
장바 공부에 코알 그래서 아니 산지 공부 도구를 해서 다들 도구에서 가는 거야만 그래서는 니들 좀도 또만 이도 도구를 되나 아니 이 장바가 아니 그래서 그런다 산지 공부 도구 말아 와 산지 생공고 되는데.
So in other words, that I think Domdamba is not asking Adisha, is realization of emptiness alone in and of itself enough to become a Buddha? He's not asking that, because the thing is that realized beings of hearers or Shirvakas and Patika Buddhas, they do have the realization of emptiness, but they are not Buddhas yet.
No, so that these landed on a Kila Tombani Tagum Kone Sanje Palas and Cupins, that my landed. Landed those the terrace, then dressing Nang Swiss. But Nang Tsue Tang Trak Sue Tang Jungdo. Be Nang Tsue Tang Ne Trak Sue. The Tamkis. That Rangi now Tang that Trak Sue that Tang. And then the Samalo the Tamkis, the Samalo. Rang the Selim Majon Mabres Kana.
And Great Adisha explains that first what you should know, that all the appearances, that means everything that appears to us, and everything that is known, right, the known to exist or whatever, okay, known phenomena, all of them have arisen from mind.
Tongwata, Jamba Taka Goa, the Samalo. Rang the same Majoki Meskana, So in other words, that what we can see with our eyes or visually, what we hear with our ears, sounds, all those things, according to Adisha, have come from mind. So what do you think of that? The same Majoki never, that's some Tongress, same Majo Messi, Majo Meskana. That same thing, River Tomba is same thing. Rangish to reverse not the Maris. River Tomba is the Yankee Tonjang Garcia, Yemek today Maris. The river say River Tomba is a Rangish to Yamar, Rangish to Tomba is.
So Adisha, states that what we see and what we hear, all those things come from mind, and mind is empty. But what does he mean, mind is empty? He doesn't mean empty in the sense that mind does not exist at all. It is a non-existent. It's just, it's not there at all. By saying that mind is empty, what he meant is that mind is empty of inherent existence. Mind does not exist in and of itself, objectively.
Semi-made semi-young and something security, And
I think Adisha couldn't have said mind doesn't exist at all, right? We all know, we all feel it, don't we? Right? Mind does exist. So how could he have said, or anybody have said, that mind doesn't exist at all?
That same river tomba incident. That Riton Nimido Toba de Tawans. Report of Tomba Nimbote any Nismepa Tawati. And Tawans, Nismeva Toba the Tatawans.
And then he explains that the realization of the non-duality of mind and emptiness, that is the perfect view. Okay, we realize the non-dual nature, non-duality of mind and emptiness, then that is the realization of the perfect view.
Same tombatyan, same rigwa tombatyan, rigwa chagu, rigwa tomba chagu. Zu tombatan, herenyubun, zu tomba, tomani zuxus.
So what Adi is explaining here is, if we go back to the Heart Sutra, where we talk about form is emptiness, emptiness is form. That's what it's talking about. Mind is emptiness, and emptiness is the mind. So once you understand or realize, actually, the non-dual nature of mind and its emptiness, then that is the realization of the perfect view.
Tomba te rikpa insayati, shitanga tomba singa maris.
Yes.
Rikpa khora rangi tomba chiyorba.
Yes.
Te any rikpa insigurma, the shitanga tomba samana thing maradash.
So as Adish explains that mind is emptiness and emptiness is mind, of course he doesn't mean that the mind and emptiness of all other phenomena, so that's the same as the mind. What he's really talking about, if we really look at the ultimate nature of mind, how does mind actually exist, then what we really see is that mind does not exist in and of itself. So that is the emptiness of the mind. So the emptiness of the mind and the mind are, you see, in a sense, non-dual.
That rang to some tongues. Rang any Simpson do report the Rangitrama Tombaris. Same Tombatin, same Quran Yago Vermato, there is so much Yajmavris.
So we can maybe just think about our own state of mind. Our own mind, what is its true nature? Its ultimate nature is that it is empty of inherent existence. It does not exist in and of itself objectively. Right? That's the ultimate nature of mind. But then what is mind? Mind is the non-inherently existent mind. That's what we're talking about. So the emptiness of the mind and mind are very inseparable in a sense. So they are non-dual. They share, so to speak, the same entityness. And
tell a mind but temper just never gomba is. That tawa can do then that tell any temper mind but Jin Tuni gomba teta, Garcia, temper teta. You train mind but temper, just never tell gomba seta, gomba set the Yagu.
So once we remain continuously mindful of this non-duality of mind and its emptiness, that is what meditation is. Okay? So when we place our mind on this non-duality of mind and its emptiness, that they are one and the same thing in the ultimate sense, mind is emptiness, emptiness is a mind. And when we become aware of that, continuously mindful of that, that is what we call meditation. Meditation on emptiness. Say.
That gom
Yes. And so that's what when we look at the, so to speak, the structure of the meditation, so to speak, what the meditation consists of. When you are in a meditative state, it is called the meditative equipoise state. You are in a deep meditation state. So then you are focused on the non-duality of mind and its emptiness. They are just inseparable.
That thing on it, on is gomba thing on is gom. That thing junchas and gomba thing on it, and then on is that they tons and thing on is Jumatavis. That Jumatavis, Jumatavi, Sony sober this Java in Seta. Jumatavis, Sony Java, that didn't do the Shanju Center, the Tony saw sooner he's talking about it. Soon as saw Sabala and Shanju sent a single glory. He told Sabala, Tomani, Tony Tavi single. So that being on it, Jumatavi so neat, so but this Shava in Seta. Tawata, Gomba, the Shabas, but Dogum shows nothing ever that kitchen.
Yes. So being in that meditative state, on the non-duality of mind, its emptiness, when we engage in all kinds of actions and activities, understanding that what we are doing is nothing but just like, it's like it's like an illusion, illusory activities. So that is what we call the action or the practice, chepa, Tibetan word, which sometimes is translated as a conduct. Okay, behavioral, action. That's what it is. And so as we remain in that understanding or the mindfulness of the non-duality of mind, its emptiness, and then we engage in actions to accumulate merit, right, and accumulate wisdom. So what we are engaging in, all these things will appear to us like an illusion. Okay, because of the realization of that non-duality, all things will appear to us just like an illusion or a magical creation, if you like. And so when we talk about Buddhist practice of action, or the chöpa, the Tibetan term chöpa, what we're really talking about is two things. Accumulation of merit or sanam, punya. So in order to accumulate merit or have the accumulation of merit, we have to cultivate bodhicitta or the altruistic state of mind. Okay? So in order to accumulate wisdom or the insight, jnana in Sanskrit, we need to focus on or understand emptiness. Okay. So that's why when we talk about the two types of accumulation of merit and wisdom, we need to cultivate bodhicitta, altruism, and the wisdom realizing emptiness. So basically, now just to bring all these things together to home, so to speak, is Adisha was trying to explain these three essential things about Buddhism. What is the perfect view, Buddhist philosophy or the perfect view? Right? So he said, it is the non-duality of emptiness and its mind. That is the perfect view. If you're mindful of that non-dual nature, so you are in the perfect view. What is the meditation? What is the meditation? Is being mindful of that non-duality between mind and its emptiness. So that is the meditation. What is the Buddhist action or the practice or a deed? It is to be able to see all phenomena just like an illusion, magical creation, yet you engage in the accumulations of merit and wisdom.
Shanti Serum Buchishi and Tombanishi, Tawani Buddhi Sundishi. Tini Sundi Drevita, Gomba, Tini Sundi Dreni, take Gombashi. Tak Gomba T Tawni, that T Tawni, any, Sony saw what the Sunday he Sony saw what they. I think Yungo Kores.
So in other words, that if we integrate the realization of emptiness with bodhicitta or the altruistic state of mind, so that is considered as the perfect view. Okay, and now if we remain in this state of mind, if you will, being mindful of this state of mind, so this is where the meditation comes into play. And out of this, meditative state, so to speak, when we perform actions, we engage in, the accumulation of merit and also enhance our wisdom. That is what we call Buddhist practice or Buddhist action.
Juma tavu se ko chembores. Juma nangi choni sobas juma nangi ma. Juma teleko na karase ta mintu zone jimato kole karase ko tengu ne sel ko ke yamarwa. No. Ngene chagu yamarwa. Ina to choni shebate juma nangi se ko juma te mangbo kin do nduni ko zo tongin na da ko ina che mangbo kin nduni shon yarwa. De nangi choni sobate anita rangi madruba the chocham ta yin and those in that manguji cho ani shun dibe wanki ani chongi sobate those kego ta rangi madruba rangi joba membita tniji ta kogu ya kanje.
In a Buddhist literature, when we find statements such as all phenomena are just like an illusion or magical creation, just like, okay, it's a likeness to, like an illusion. That's a very profound statement, And what it really means is, when we look at a magic show, magical creation, what's happening is that, based upon collection of certain causes and conditions, a magician can create whatever magic, he or she creates, right? But that magic is a result of, so many things coming together. Okay, that magic doesn't come in and of itself because it depends on so many factors and so many variables. Okay, and in the same way, when we engage in the accumulation of merit, positive actions, and wisdom, we depend on so many causes and conditions because they don't exist in and of themselves. And so we realize that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, meaning nothing exists in and of itself, yet all things are possible, and we engage in the accumulations of merit and wisdom, which is just like a magical creation. Okay? Everything is nothing but a mere label. That's the subtle thing we are talking about. Nothing exists in and of itself. Everything is just a label, a mental imputation. And it is at that level we are functioning.
That is, the Tata Nyamu to Chupati, Yuna, Malam de Yonseta, Nande, Tawa Tang, Tawa Re, Tawa Tang, Gomba to Sheva Sumbati, Tagun Shua Sumbati, and the Tanda Ani Pe Joni, Pe Joni, Tanyamu to Chupa Pe, Kadina Langanga, huge yon to be shown, and then Malam de Yongres, Malam de Tigana Yongres.
So if we train our mind, excuse me, if we train our mind, by the way, it's just an allergy, so I don't have anything spreading to you. If we train our mind really well to cultivate those three things we briefly talked about: the perfect view, meditation, and action. Okay? And if we really train our mind well in those three things, cultivating, and as they become like our second nature, right? Now we have really developed so much in our practices that they somehow have become our second nature. Then when we are dreaming, in a state of dream, these things could appear. Yes.
Voilà, tati, ani malam dons, that malam de shona sen, ani ranchigalamani tankate tugres, chigalungres.
So in our dream state, when we are dreaming, we are sleeping and dreaming, if all these three things can come up because of our second nature, so to speak, then at the time of death, where we really need them, so to speak, they'll also come on their own. So it becomes like a second nature.
That chigar shona se, that chigar tende yung tugana, ane te ane dream machivajeta padol yungres kana.
So if these things can come on their own, so to speak, like a second nature at death and dying, so now we are going through the process of dying, then once we die and we move into what we call the intermediate state, the state between death and rebirth, which is called the Pardo state in Tibetan, right? They will continue into the Pardo.
That Pardo Shunas, that Pardo Shunas. Then it will go to never insta.
No. And if these things can appear in the Pardo state, intermediate state, then you are guaranteed to be able to, attain supreme attainment or enlightenment.
Padol, that's Sanji Kumar, Pena, Jerumbuja, and Kusi Takarana, Sanji Kumar, Padu Juniper, Jimmy, any Padol, Sanji numbers.
When we look at the life story of Je Rinpoche or Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa sitting over there, he attained enlightenment in the Pardo state. Okay, because after he passed away, he arose himself in an illusory body or a form in the intermediate Pardo state, and where he attained enlightenment.
That is Zawe Ya Kuyate, Tandamakta, Mambuti Masoni, Tandam Delani, Sanjigres, Pador, Sanji Tugres Kanasomas.
So I'm explaining all these things, then ultimately the Adisha brings all the points home. So he said, you know what? The answer is yes. If you cultivate the integrated path, or the path of emptiness and great compassion or altruism, yes, that alone will take you to complete enlightened state.
That didn't take
And we will stop there today, and so let's do some question and answers.
Yes, they're over there again.
Yeah.
I understand the importance of suppressing anger and hatred, but sometimes I find doing that keeps me from wanting to act in positive ways. For example, counter war and social justice. So how does one? How can I suppress anger and hatred yet act positively?
Sure. ခုနကလည်းဒီစကတော့ကတကယ်ပဲနာချေခွန်တော့တာပဲညမို့ရိကရောနမ်ဆန်တော့ချုံတော့ရတဲ့မှာချေကြောက်လို့ဆိုမှာတော့ the suppress the kind of Makumba of Sigor again. This Cherina and Zamzamlia and a Kevele, Nugus, spend a chachana, for the Chizon Alia, that you Matama Chevin, deal social action to go again. Take the Kebbe at your one. This chair was because of Wadang and Guno never charge again. Because the corner she was and the in Delia, then a Laguna Zuya that you can go again. A quarter Majuvena and Kodai and Delia, Tona never charged, so Kebe Chawalia, Kayung or Chu the Pandel.
The Gagamar spinner. 다 컨트롤이 아니 인지신 근데 휴는 인지신 쪽으로 했어. 컨트롤 그 배 가가신 오버세션. 인지 그 왕까지.
The question that was being asked is about, and I hope I represent you. If not, you can just, correct me. Where it seems like we talked about how delusions are very hard to get rid of, but nonetheless we need to try to bring them down. It's like downgrade them. So the question asked is, if we suppress our delusion, particularly anger, for instance, then somehow that impedes us from engaging in social actions, kind of social movements. The injustice is going around, and now I'm not interested anymore. So how is that? So Geshe-la's explanation is, that seems like our experience, but even the better way to get engaged socially is we cultivate compassion. You see, out of compassion as a motivation, we can engage in those social actions, to bring justice, for instance.
인기 왕가 다 도시는 캠베다비시 샤비나 데 주는 뭐지 차그레스 콘도게 차자는 양코 포교는 이제 그 주는 뭐 내기면 도왔어.
And I think compassion will have a long lasting effect. When you really cultivate a sense of compassion, you have that sense of caring. When you engage in those actions, you will be doing that for a long time. When we do something with anger, we just feel like so uptight and like, go, I'm going to do this. Well, the anger doesn't last that long. It just, and then that's it. You see, now, that just stops, So whereas the compassion, it just has that lasting effect,
And what did you get today? The meaning?
It's the balloon out of air.
Okay, that's good. Anything?
Okay, did I see another hand? Yes, Michael.
Okay, we kind of all grasp the idea of purification of karma, but what's happening when we accept that fact, the situation arises for a continuous situation, and what works, it's like a gray area there between accepting that as ripening karma or being a sucker. I mean, how long do you keep trying to work it out, and as a natural order of things?
And acceptance of that, right? Kurangi condition is get a given angazin layer ruchina, tachi lepa, changwa, and Arawakan, and Sumba, Gundun Chewares, and Zamzam Leko let me into Korea, come but it's the Tadaling or Arawakan, let Tada lay and Yanko Leba Changan deeper Rawakan. When the less in the Korangi, Chumting and Richard Gorota. Branches again, that castle disorder again. That got Chela, that thing or in a Kuchik. Lea Majaba came and Richard.
There is. Pena Sosugan Basabi, Namit Mazapaduko, the youngers, that is Yoate, Sosupen and Hakover Shene. Rangi, they were McGee, a village, Namiting around Yombre, that tea any Tava Husamash, Ranza Maipe, Round and Java, the Nisanki, McGee. They were lay sanky, round and jaw sanky motion. Tenzul and then Nagi looking good. Tenzu Tomalo, Tangaton the thing to me by show. Yenda the Tomalo bay, totally Tara to some big bin David Tower. Was tolling me was she. Chevres, Mazopa, they laid me telling Mazopa that time. But they are talking about Sabi and Tenzin Dorjee.
The question was, something to do with how, one way we have to continuously make efforts to purify our karma and do the good karma stuff. But another sense, there's a sense of like the karma seems to be like a natural thing that's happening, and the acceptance of things happening to us. The Geshe-la's explanation is, we have to understand how when we create karma, before they ripen, good or bad karmas, right, we can sort of intercept them in a sense through our purification practice so that we do not have to experience the results of those karma. But at times, the karma is already ripened upon us, so it's ripening. So this is where it's more like the acceptance of it, and then as we go through whatever the results karma has brought upon us, still we could do what we call the Tonglen practice, the practice of taking others' suffering upon ourselves and giving whatever goodness, happiness to others. We said, by my experience of this karma, whatever the result, all these difficulties, may others do not have to experience this, this kind of thing anymore. Yeah? So we can still bring ourselves into that framework of mind, to deal with the karma. Does that answer your question somewhat?
Let's say it's a financial situation where you can't really afford to go too far because it's affecting your life. It's not like it's a personal issue. It's more of a like being cheated or something. Let's say. So obviously that has to stop. You can't keep going on being cheated. I mean, I'm trying to rationalize. Well, maybe I was a thief in the past.
Can I be cheated?
I've done this or that. This is happening to me. But I mean, it has to cease. So you just keep praying and hoping it's going to stop. Or,
yeah, but I understand this. Go to Ben Pesha again. Ben it's just Lenyama the Kumar Shakwa in the Karina again. The Le one get under Kuja the Yungurwa. Or that Lenyama Tagara races Koshan to go Mara, that would go down Gurwa, but some church was Shagor was so Ben Mur with Seven Caros and put Zam Shower was moved in Dodena, Toyana scale
some Yagus, some Yagus.
Seshanan the Cosimeno.
Ale Yatan, some Yatan the Tama.
This is
Yama the Shabby in Ko Ranle and Ranle, Dean Jabut Nami in Jointe, Nami Idemo, Nami Idemo, Ranle at the Hakop shit. The Goy is Yama Shabal and Jesemta, the Shinki Donson Shini,
Well, in a situation like that, of course, many things are related to what we did in the past. Let's say, we are doing something negative, let's say, stealing others' property, because maybe in the past life we were thieves anyway, so there's a continuation of that. Now, we cannot sort of, explain this, that's what I did in the past, so past karma is impacting me. So, as if I cannot change anything. We could change, and as a matter of fact, we should, realizing that by doing all these things, how much suffering we are bringing to others for the difficulties, and whatever big difficulties we are going through, right? So we do not want to do that anymore. So therefore, thinking about all those things, we should try to stop, doing, not because this is a continuation of the past life. So that's even more reason why we should try to stop now.
Ranki, Diva may give you sapi, later, Rang Hema, Shang Hema, Sapi. San Tin David run me with Hakko, Kosuna, Tima the Yichi, the Shene, Tatipa, Taya Cheto, Go to Chimut Sabina, Melami Killer, died or you had this.
Since I don't know, the good part is if you somehow believe in, or you could recognize it, that something I'm doing now, negative or whatever, positive has no problem. Right? So negative is maybe due to my past life. But if we have that recognition, or at least we believe in that, then we say, okay, this is not a good thing. Okay, how much difficulty it put myself in by doing this and bring suffering to others. And then if we try to generate some positive state of mind or do something strong, powerful, positive action, well, the positive, we cannot undermine the power of the positive thing. Sometimes, when you really develop so much intimacy with doing something positive, and it becomes such a powerful antidote to counteract the negativity. And sometimes even in the dream state, your karma could be purified. It seems like when you are awake, nothing seems to be happening, but you are dreaming about something like, and that is the purification of your karma, and then you don't do it anymore.
So a punch in the mouth would be out of the question.
Yeah, that's right. The Muzoshi never said. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's okay. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll come back to Kusho. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you please explain us more about the illusory body and the clear light?
We say that you look at this one for Vesa.
The Niel Yama Charan Kabu injuries. Sanjuji sent the Domi to be carried the Goya Pomashana, one Togmaris, one Matuna, one Matopoli, Sangat, or the Kijama, say tumors.
The question that was asked was, could Geshe explain a little bit about illusory body and clear light? And Geshe said, well, that's rather difficult to explain. The thing is that without a good training of the mind in bodhicitta and the understanding of emptiness, we cannot receive tantric empowerments or initiation. So without tantric empowerments, you cannot talk about those things or even listen to those things. So it will be difficult to explain and difficult for you even to understand or follow me. So we won't do that. And Kushala, yeah.
So let's say we have a bus. 20 people on the bus. Each person has one suitcase. But one person feels they need 20 suitcases. So they actually become a hindrance for all the other people on the bus. So at a certain point, people say something to the other person about their 20 suitcases.
Okay. When I disagree again, what I can't tell you again says one. Modern China, like me, you should see me, the long one is in a top down, the suitcase must catch home. In a meeting, call you should scale on my I mean, somebody get a quality that the nation to give my love show or a vessel that for my
social love going critical London degrees. No, yes, social Jidoshi the shaman, social passion, was the love Germans.
Social countries.
What's it?
But that's also number your mean you should not your water, sweet land and digger or for the king son of Chen digger vessel. You should get a dig my immediate thing which care of down your muscle.
London, you can't get in, don't let me aware. Diane London, you get him a Jericho and you love Germans.
And culture also that could go again.
Don't you say?
And even you should not to get your mother.
That you mean Zachary 11 so live the
I'm going to try to explain it. Geshe said, in that case, situation like that, yes, you can rationally explain to the other person, especially if the other person is somebody who will listen to you, right? That's a good thing to do. But if the other person is somebody who is gung-ho about it, not going to listen, well, better not say it because then it's going to be fight, But I said, then you can't, start your journey. What do you do? Geshe says, well, then whatever that's left out, it has to stay. That's the reality. Need to go. Hit the road,
Yeah, that's right.
Did I see a hand somewhere? No.
That yeah.
Yeah, Anila. One more, yeah.
It seems like the terminology non-dual is very specific. Could Geshe please give more elaboration or more of an example of what non-dual means?
Yes. Again, this one Georgie Bena Sengi Simranching Tomba, the same the Chiba Sonja Nime. So Nime said the Sig Shiragi Kaso Sid Korampa mix a Kuyu and Chad was a deep walking station or not. Nime said,
Send lost Saint Chuni Gajmabris. Saint Chuni lost Saint Gajmabris. The legal I wasn't to do.
Trying to explain it as simple as I could is like when we think of the emptiness of the mind, without mind, you cannot establish its emptiness. You cannot talk about the emptiness of the mind without the mind, And without the emptiness of the mind, you really cannot talk about the mind. So that's what we meant by, non-duality of mind and its, emptiness. But that is not only with the mind alone, but every phenomenon is like that. Whatever the phenomenon is, something that exists, that's what we meant by phenomenon according to Buddhism, right? That phenomenon and its emptiness are intimately related to one another. So without that phenomenon, you cannot talk about its emptiness. Without its emptiness, you cannot talk about that phenomenon. So that's the non-dual nature of a phenomenon and its emptiness.
26 cases, yes.
Who was trying to bring 20 suitcases?
Okay, that's good.
Okay, we will stop there at a good point here.
ane temba zebi tenzi shebe tambana ji ja yina bi zebi tenzi risuma shepe tenzi shebe tambana ji kuze kebe temba de tuji inda da me min ru yong wa kyo chöji sho pomana ji chündi shawa na isen tun ru bata gide ji kam da yen de minti bi gu chota da keni tunjin lu so da me min ru yong
let us dedicate our collective merit for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy masters from all traditions remain healthy, long, and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May these and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, by the power of our merit, may all kind mother sentient beings be free of all the two types of mental obscuration and reach complete enlightened state quickly.
Senjo Remboche, Maje Bana Shejoje, Sheva Nyamba Me Bata, Kone Kondo Pewa, Tony Tawa Remboche, Maje Bana Shejoje, Sheva Nyamba Me Bata, Kone Kondo Pewa, Kare Rabe Kove Chenkamate, Pedama Dewa Malu Juve. Tenzin Dorjee, Kabe Sindi Abad, Dorjee, Dorjee, Pede Shoji Metoda, Rero Nenge Nede Jembande, Sanje Jendo Mede Buwaye, Rokwe Nanda Chima Sheba, So Edam Guru Nama, Niya Daya.
No.
King's questions important. We wish for everyone to have the cause of the hearing, literally body in the clear light.
Yes.
We need to have the foundation for them.
Geshe wants to acknowledge that the question asked by Kim, request to explain illusory body in clear light. That's a really important subject. We do not want to undermine those things, and Geshe very much hope and pray that everybody realizes, or we are able to realize illusory body in clear light. But having said that, because of the restrictions and parameters, and this is maybe not the right context to talk about them, so we couldn't answer the question.
Next time.
So.